Good day, my name is Bluesuit and today I'll be going over my review of the Lovecraftian pixel souls-like action-adventure RPG known as Morbid The Seven Acolytes. In Morbid The Seven Acolytes, you play as an unnamed god killer called a Striver, as you slay and loot your way through the ruined lands of Morbid. Ancient evil deities called the Gehar have bound themselves to 7 human acolytes, thus giving them the freedom to exist and destroy in this reality. I really love the world and lore that's been built in Morbid. It has a great, unique backstory, but is entirely skippable for players who just want to get into the action. And as you take down each acolyte, the game gets not only harder, but progressively darker and filled with an ever-growing amount of strange Lovecraftian gore, from flying tentacle monsters to a boss that wields her own womb like a giant bloody flail. The monsters that you fight can't be understated. Not only do they all have unique attack patterns for you to learn, but they all fit the aesthetic of their respective locations perfectly. One of the biggest systems in Morbid The Seven Acolytes is the loot, and there is plenty of it. There are roughly 30 different weapons in the game across 6 different weapon types, and most of them have different damage types, attack speeds, and runes that can be installed on them. It was always exciting to find and try out new weapons, but I found that they weren't as balanced as other games in the genre. Most of the weapons have the same or similar attack patterns, and there generally isn't enough to make a lot of the weapons feel unique, so some weapons end up being just plain better than others. That being said, with the customization of runes on your weapons and the ability to have 2 weapon sets equipped at a time, there's definitely still a lot of customization that you can do to make your character feel unique, even without a character creator. With the inclusion of bonus damage, attack speed, and lifesteal, there are a ton of fun builds you can make with the use of these runes. There are also a myriad of buff shrooms, mushrooms that can temporarily imbue your weapon with various runic effects such as fire damage or sanity drain. Which brings me to Morbid's most unique mechanic, Sanity. Some attacks from the game's dark gothic creatures will inflict sanity damage, affecting not only how much damage you take, but how much damage you deal and how much experience you're awarded from enemy creatures. If your sanity is low enough, you'll even start to see tentacles encroaching the borders of the game, and slain creatures will rise again as phantoms. The combat is all about avoiding being overwhelmed, so a surprise phantom can very easily tip the scales of a fight out of your favor. Speaking of combat, Morbid The Seven Acolytes attempts to bring the Souls-like franchise into the pixel world, and on most fronts it is extremely successful. Combat is tight and feels mostly fair, while giving you that satisfying feeling of learning your enemy's attack timing so that you can perfectly parry them into a one-shot riposte. The window for a perfect parry feels pretty tight, but if you're able to pull it off, you can one-shot even elite enemies, or do detrimental damage to the game's bosses. In my testing, it even seems to improve the weapon and item drop rates when felling foes. The one downside, though, to combat is that it's a bit one-dimensional. There aren't any options for players that enjoy using magic, and there are even very few ranged options to choose from. Leveling up in Morbid, though, is a bit unique compared to other titles in the genre. Instead of improving your stats, you instead upgrade your blessings. As you make your way through the game world, you will uncover blessings that provide you various boons, such as bonus health, experience, ammo, stamina regeneration, and so on. Skill points are awarded on level up, and you can use those to increase the power of each of your blessings, giving you even more ways to make your character unique across different playthroughs. There are a few issues that I have with Morbid The Seven Acolytes that I don't believe are deal breakers, but definitely bothered me. The first that I noticed right at the start of the game is that Morbid has a very unique control scheme. It's not bad by any means, but definitely adds to the learning curve. The downside here is that you aren't able to remap or change the controls at all. My hands naturally want to use that well-known Dark Souls control scheme for a game like this. Also, it would be great if you were able to swap between weapon sets without opening up your menu. The second and larger issue that I have with Morbid The Seven Acolytes is with the soundtrack. Every location in the game is extremely detailed and well made. The environments are all unique and they're interesting to look at, but the sound design of the levels fails to highlight that. Most of the tracks aren't long enough, causing them to loop several times, and generally follow the same dark, slow, methodical tune. It's an attempt to double down on the gothic themes of the game, but typically just comes across as boring white noise, especially in contrast to the tight, exciting gameplay. The exception to this is in the boss fights, which I felt were perfect in almost every way. When you go into one, you immediately feel overwhelmed, and you're going to get demolished a few times before you figure out how to get past them. Right now, you can pick up Morbid The Seven Acolytes on Steam, Xbox, PS4, and Nintendo Switch for $25, but its true value is actually even higher than that. It has such a unique and successful take on the genre with a dark, engaging Lovecraftian storyline and excellent replayability. So I'm valuing Morbid The Seven Acolytes at $27, and I would wholeheartedly recommend it to fans of Souls-likes who are looking for a challenging 2.5D horror take on the genre. I hope you enjoyed this review of Morbid The Seven Acolytes. Come see me on Twitch, where you can watch our reviews in progress 5 nights a week. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Until next time, peace!